Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Nabil Nafis Today we'll talk about Japanese value. When we are talking about Japanese value, we will not forget for sumo sport. But to continue to our discussion today, let's move on to my PowerPoint. Sumo is one of sports in Japan played by pushing each other or beating each other between two fat wrestlers or that have big bodies until one person is pushed out of the circle or dropped with a body other than the foot touching the ground on the inside of the circle. The wrestler needs to be big and fat because the more fat a wrestler is, the harder to be knocked down. The history of this sumo sport, just like the various types of wrestling that exist throughout the world, sumo has been known in Japan since prehistoric times. In the classic Japanese literature of the 8th century AD, the initial form of sumo was known as sumai. Sumo in its present form may differ from sumo. In ancient time, wrestlers often fight to death because the number of existing regulations is still a little. Japanese rule in the 16th century named Oda Nobunaga often held sumo tournaments. The shape of the sumo ring as it is known today originates from the time of Oda Nobunaga. Compared to mawashi today, which is made of fine, stiff cloth, the sumo wrestler in Oda Nobunaga's time still wore a lower body covering from a loose rope cloth. In the Edo period, sumo wrestlers competed by wearing beautiful and handsome mawashi motifs called kesho mawashi. Nowadays, kesho mawashi is only subject to a sumo wrestler when parading over a dahyong at the beginning of the tournament opening. Sumo is often associated with ritual in Shintoism. Until now, in some Shintos, there are still battles between sumo wrestlers. In sumo sport, there are two simple rules. The first, a wrestler who hits the ground first with a body other than the sole of the foot is a losing wrestler. The second, the first wrestler to step on the ground outside the circle is also the losing wrestler. On race occasions, a wrestler who happens to touch the ground first is possible to be won by the referee on condition that the two wrestlers touch the ground at around the same time, and the wrestler who just hit the ground is considered to have no hope of winning the match from a stronger opponent wrestler. The wrestler who loses on this occasion is called a shintai, or we can call dead person. In addition, there are several more rules that can be used to determine the winner. The wrestlers who use illegal technique, kinjite, are automatically declared loser. The second, a wrestler with a mawashi, a belt that also functions as a trouser, that was released while competing was also declared defeat. The third, wrestlers who do not appear when it is their turn to compete are also declared to have lost in fusenpai. After one of the wrestlers is declared the winner, the jury, gyoji, outside the ring announces kimarite, a technique used by the winning wrestler. Sumo matches are always preceded by long ritual, even though the competition is often only ends a few seconds. A losing wrestler can be pushed out of the circle very quickly or dropped, while a balanced match can be ended for several minutes. A sumo wrestler who has a large belly circumference and a fat body is more likely to win. Like I said before, although sometimes you will find the smaller wrestler but have extraordinary technique can defeat the fatter wrestler. Let's move on to the next point. There is sumo ring or dahyong in Japan. The sumo may take place in a ring called dahyong, made from a mixture of hardened clay with sand spread over it. Dahyong will be demolished after the match finishes, and a new dahyong had to be built for each tournament. The construction of dahyong for the purpose of the tournament or training is the responsibility of the organizer, yobidashi. The circle where the match takes place has a diameter for 4 and 55 meters and is surrounded by a sack of rice called tawara. The size of the rice sack is about 1/3 the size of a standard rice sack that is partially buried in clay, which formed a dahyong mound. Slightly outside the circle are 4 tawara, which were meant to absorb rainwater when the sumo tournament was still held in the open area. In the center of the circle are 2 white lines called shikiri-sen. The 2 wrestlers, or we can say in Japan, rikishi, who fight must be behind the shikiri-sen line before the match starts. The outside around the circle is called janome, which is coated in fine sand to form a smooth surface. Wrestlers who are pushed out of the circle or fall must have caused a mark on the surface of the janome due to being hit by a foot or other limb. Yobidashi must ensure that the surface of janome is in a smooth state before another match begins. Musashimaru and Takanohana, Wakanohana, 3 couple who are the only couple who had reached the top position as yokozuna. Chiyono Fuji is a yokozuna who resigns in the early 1919 after winning 31 tournaments. Chiyono Fuji victory in 31 tournaments was an extraordinary achievement because it was equivalent to the number of wins of 2 yokozuna, Ekobono and Takanohana. Put together, wrestlers who have become yokozuna can no longer be donned and are only expected to step down if their achievement can no longer meet the standard of a yokozuna. Sumo wrestlers use an alias called shikuna that may have something to do or has nothing to do with the wrestler's real name. Sumo wrestlers usually don't have much choice in choosing shikuna or alias name because the name is usually prepared in advance by the trainer, oyagata, or sponsoring company. In the course of his career, sumo wrestler may change shikuna several times. Professional sumo tournaments are only held in Japan, although most professional sumo wrestlers come from abroad. Takamiyama, Konishiki, and Akebono are the names of 3 successful Hawaiian-born professional sumo wrestlers in Japan. Takamiyama was the first regional to win the top division in the early 1917. Takamiyama's footsteps were followed by Konishiki, who won the top division in 3 tournaments. Konishiki was the first regional to reach Ozeki ranking. In 1993, Ekobono was the first regional in the history of sumo to become yokozuna. That's it that I can deliver to you all about Japanese value, exactly sumo sport. So for everybody that have watched this video, thank you very much, and may Allah bless what we are learning today, and this knowledge also be useful for our life. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.